She was just an orphan, living in a foreign land. But when her people faced total destruction, she risked everything, even her own life, to stand before the king. A single moment of courage changed the course of history. Welcome to Bible Breakdown _, where we bring Bible to life through powerful cinematic storytelling. This is the story of Esther, the queen chosen by God to save an entire nation. Birth and background: an orphan in a foreign land. Esther's story takes place in the Persian Empire during the reign of King Xerxes, Ahasuerus, around 479 BC. The Jews had been living in exile after Babylon had destroyed Jerusalem. Many of them, including Esther and her family, were now in Persia, trying to survive under a foreign rule. Esther was an orphan, raised by her older cousin Mordecai. Esther 2:7. Despite her humble beginnings, God had a plan that would place her in the highest position in the kingdom. 2. The call to destiny: a queen is chosen. One day, King Xerxes removed his queen, Vashti, for refusing to obey him. Seeking a new queen, the king held a massive search for the most beautiful young women in the empire. Esther was among those chosen to enter the royal palace. Before she went, Mordecai warned her not to reveal her Jewish identity. Esther 2:10. She obeyed, and after months of preparation, King Xerxes chose Esther to be his new queen. Esther 2:17. But she didn't realize that God had placed her there for a greater purpose. 3. The threat: a plot to destroy the Jews. Soon after Esther became queen, an evil official named Haman rose to power. Haman was a prideful man who demanded that everyone bow to him. But Mordecai refused to bow because he worshipped only the one true God. Esther 3:2. Furious, Haman devised a plot to kill all the Jews in the empire. He tricked King Xerxes into signing a law that ordered their execution on a specific date. Esther 3:8-11. Since Persian laws could not be undone, it seemed like the Jews were doomed. 4. Esther's moment of courage: if I perish, I perish. When Mordecai learned of the plan, he sent a message to Esther, urging her to go before the king and plead for her people. But there was one problem. Anyone who approached the king without being summoned could be executed unless the king extended his golden scepter. Esther 4:11. Esther was afraid, but Mordecai reminded her of her divine purpose. Who knows but that you have come to your royal position for such a time as this? Esther 4:14. Realizing that this was her God-given moment, Esther made a bold decision. She asked all the Jews to fast and pray for 3 days, and then she declared, I will go to the king, even though it is against the law. And if I perish, I perish. Esther 4:16. 5. The miracle: the king's favor and Haman's downfall. On the 3rd day, Esther approached the king. As she entered the throne room, everyone held their breath. Would he execute her? But King Xerxes extended his golden scepter. God had given her favor. Instead of asking for her people's safety immediately, she wisely invited the king and Haman to a banquet. At the second banquet, she finally revealed the truth. If I have found favor with you, your majesty, and if it pleases you, grant me my life, this is my request, and spare my people, this is my petition. Esther 7:3. Shocked, King Xerxes asked who would dare to harm his queen and her people. Esther pointed at Haman. The adversary and enemy is this vile Haman. Esther 7:6. Haman was terrified. The king, in his fury, ordered Haman to be executed on the very gallows he had built for Mordecai. Esther 7:10. 6. The victory: a new decree and a joyful celebration. Though the law against the Jews could not be undone, King Xerxes issued a new decree allowing the Jews to defend themselves. When the appointed day came, the Jews fought back and defeated their enemies. Esther 9:1-5. To this day, the Jewish people celebrate this victory through the Feast of Purim, remembering how God used Esther to deliver them. 7. Esther's impact on history and modern-day lessons. Esther's story is one of bold faith, divine positioning, and the power of standing up for what is right. What can we learn from Esther today? God places you where you need to be. Esther's rise to the throne wasn't a coincidence. God places people in key positions to fulfill his purpose. Courage requires faith. Esther had every reason to be afraid, but she chose to trust God. When we step out in faith, God meets us with favor. Fasting and prayer bring breakthrough. Esther's decision to fast before taking action reminds us that spiritual battles must be fought with spiritual weapons. God's justice always prevails. Haman's own wickedness led to his downfall. No matter how powerful evil seems, God will always have the final say. 8. Conclusion: are you ready for your Esther moment? Esther was just an ordinary girl, but she became an extraordinary hero because she obeyed God's call. You too were born for such a time as this. Maybe God has placed you in a specific position to stand up for truth, to help others, or to make a difference. Are you willing to step into your purpose? Will you trust God, even when the risk is great? Comment below, for such a time as this, if you believe in God's purpose for your life. If this story inspired you, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share for more powerful Bible stories from Bible Breakdown.